guys, your old pal Brian. It's the 26th of February, and we'll go out here and work harden my aircraft again. Make certain that it's running. This thing will be spending months with me.
HTX. Switch warning. 0 volts. Throttle hold.
When I'm in Maine. And as such, I want to make sure it's going to work. My other aircraft that are sitting in the house will be just fine.
Battery critical. Low battery. 9. Telemetry lost.
But this bizotch.
Battery critical. Low battery. 9. Telemetry recovered. Telemetry lost.
That'll
Battery
stop
critical.
in a second.
Low battery. 9. Telemetry recovered. 12.6 volts. Telemetry lost.
It is interesting. I'm looking for another airplane, or
telemetry recovered.
I'm going to end up buying
Telemetry
another
lost.
Twisted Hobbies airplane.
RSSI critical. Telemetry recovered. Battery critical. Low battery. 9.
And I'm kind of spoiled on these Free Sky receivers that are stabilized,
volts.
that you can turn off and on at your leisure. This is called the Dork Hat as a whole. Dork. That's my lawn boy. Such a nice kid. I'm letting him cut my lawn since he's 13. He'll be cutting it here next month, eventually. Okay, how do I start this? My latest
12.6 volts.
My latest observation has been the following. If you have to start off a conversation with saying, I'm not an elitist, but you're probably an elitist. The three things I don't discuss at my grandmother's dinner table are sex, religion, and politics. The very same things that I don't discuss in real life, I wouldn't discuss at my grandmother's dinner table, because people have the emotional growth of a common shoebox and cannot think in layers.
12.5 volts.
So what they like to do is they like to gravitate to whichever side they love, left or right, rarely in the middle, and they dig their heels in and don't look at anything else. That's not how my mind works. My mind already knows what I'm doing right. I need to do what I need to either explore what I'm doing wrong or what is perceived as being wrong.
12.5 volts.
I've only met a few of me in this life. Good morning. This winter is horrible, isn't it? I'm gonna get my snow shovel. Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
12.5 volts.
So I had a friend of mine. He's dead now. And I came here 30 some odd years ago, and he ran a local park. And
Battery critical. Low battery.
he was
9.
a dyed-in-the-wool liberal
12.5
Michigander,
volts.
and he was such a liberal that
Throttle active. Throttle active.
he was a flaming liberal, and on occasion he would catch fire and have to roll around on the ground. This is all spontaneous. Catch fire and then have to roll around on the ground and put himself out. Take it off. His name was Jim Paradise, and I'm still friends with his widow
12.2 volts.
and his children. And what was uncanny about him was, much like myself, he could think in layers. And what we did, and I hope everyone that is hearing this is sitting down, is that we actually had a dialogue in our conversations rather than a diatribe.
11.8 volts.
We were both genuinely interested in how we thought. I was never was ultra anything, but I was a right-wing Republican when we met, and he was a aforementioned flaming liberal. And what we did over the 25 years of friendship was we moderated each other's behavior. He kept me from being a jerk
11.9 volts.
who subscribed to wanting bum hunts. That's how we get rid of bums. We make it legal to hunt and kill them. And he agreed that some of his views socially were unbelievably wonderful in concept, but impossible in practice. And then about 15 years ago, he died. And I'm still pissed at him.
11.7 volts.
Because he was the only person in my life that was a liberal that could actually have a discussion with me rather than just dig in and get mad and be a jerk and not realize that neither of us were 100% right. And that's a shame.
11.6
Because all you do is you
volts.
end up with folks who just dig in, man. They just dig in. I'm right. And there's no other way I can be. I'm just right. And everybody else is wrong. It's not how I think. I constantly evolve over time. That is not normal human behavior. That's the behavior of an elitist. My wife and I
11.5 volts.
are a shining example of the other opportunity. My wife was a flaming liberal when I met her, and I'm a die-hard conservative. And we moderated each other, just like me and my buddy Jim did. Sure enough. And I swear to you, my wife is more of a conservative than I am these days.
11.4 volts.
In fact, what I think has happened to me is I've become fiscally conservative and socially liberal. I don't care what you identify with. In fact, that's none of my business. In fact, that should be none of anyone's business. So I don't talk about gun control because you can't.
11.5 volts.
I don't talk about anything that's hot button because all it does is cause the tiny minds amongst us to start to vibrate and hate and quit whatever it is they're doing because they don't have the ability to have an existential conversation. All they have is the ability to get mad
11.4 volts.
and take their ball and go away. Right now, me and Captain Crunch, Dale, are having to deal with racism. And one of the personalities that we're concerned about is actually a racist. The other one suffers that same
11.3 volts.
suffers that same problem I just discussed with he's lazy. So he's going to call everybody a bad guy, no matter what their color or culture is. And the reality is that's not so. My wife had a Muslim working for her as a secretary, and she was a liberal Muslim, even though some say that the Quran is such that
volts.
everybody that ain't a Muslim has to die. I can almost guarantee you that my wife's secretary was not interested in killing my wife, but anyone else for that matter, and will probably go to her grave not having killed anyone.
30 seconds.
But there are factions amongst us that do not believe that because their mind only grasps one thing. They don't realize that the world is
11.1 volts.
gray, or they don't want to. the world is not black and white. It's the epitome of
10,
gray.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Timer 1 elapsed.
So that's why you don't see me talk about politics,
11.2 volts.
because it's worthless, and all it does is alienate. And we're in a time where we need to assimilate. But some of us, as my son would say, either did not enjoy enough hugs as a child or got too many. Because those folks amongst us like to stay recreationally polarized and get off on creating dissension.
11.2 volts.
They literally get off on it. It's a shame. So what I do is I, much like Steve Jobs, who created a distortion field, people came to Steve and said, Steve, or actually Steve went to people and said, people, engineers, I need you to make me this Star Trek thing that's a tablet that
11 volts.
is like a TV and you can do all this stuff on it. And his engineer said, that's impossible. So he fired those engineers and he found some more engineers and they said, well, we might be able to do this, and put them to work, and next thing you know, he created magic. Really did. All through creating a distortion field, his own universe. And that's what I do privately.
10.9 volts.
I don't have shitheads around me, and I won't have shitheads around me. I create an artificial universe of polite people who have manners, and if they don't, then they get the boot.
Volts.
It works perfectly. And upon finding out one of our fellow forum members suffers racism, and here's the most important part about that.
10.7 volts.
You're allowed to be a racist. I mean, it's
Low
okay.
battery.
I'm not telling you can't be a racist. I'm just telling you we can't be friends. The cool thing about living here in America, or at least up until recently, you actually can dislike whoever you want to dislike. I actually taught this when I taught the human diversity class. I would tell people,
10.7 volts.
we had to institutionally teach human diversity and no one would do it. And I always laugh because
Throttle hold.
they had a middle-aged white guy doing it. That's me. Because the blacks and the females wouldn't even do it. It's just stupid. The very people that we need to help teach human diversity wouldn't do it. So I'd shame them during the class. Anyway, I took the course, and it's a month-long course to teach human diversity.
10.8 volts.
And I took it because I was already enlightened,
Battery critical.
and I
Low
didn't need
battery.
anybody
9.
teaching me
Battery
this.
critical. Low battery. 9. Telemetry lost.
In fact, the problem I ran into was that whatever human diversity class they were teaching was horribly divisive and awful, and it was actually worse than not having any kind of course at all. So I found out that if you teach human diversity, if you become an instructor, you don't have to go to any of the courses. Well, yeah, on paper that's true, but unfortunately my staff didn't give a crap about that, and they made me go anyway. Those bastards. And they were terrible. So I says, you know what? They came to me one day and they said, can you teach this course? Because we don't have anybody teaching it. We can't get anybody to teach it. So I said, sure. I mean, what are you going to do, fire me? And there's no real syllabus. So I'd start out the course with Chris Rock's It's about 3 minutes and 43 seconds or something like that. Chris Rock's
Throttle active.
How Not to Get Your Ass Kicked by the Police. One of the funniest things you've ever seen in your life. Go see it. I'd start the course out with that, and then I'd give long breaks. It was an 8-hour course at the end. And I'd give long breaks. And
11.9
I'd start out with that, and then I would have them all come back from the long break, called them cop breaks, and had them listen to the following. I am not here to teach you how to not be a misogynist or a racist. I can't teach you that. That's something you're going to have to learn on your own. But the institution says that when you're handling people, they will be handled with total disregard of their race, creed, or color, or sexual orientation, or any of that stuff. You will not deprive anyone of their civil rights because of that. And believe it or not, it really wasn't a color issue. We were able to get along fine that way. It was, God, dealing with the difference between men and women. What a hassle that was. Holy crap. God, the people can't keep their hands off each other. And it's just, it's something that'll never get healed, ever. All they do is annoy each other. I got married when I was 8, so I never suffered any of this stuff. And I have the ability to keep my John Thomas in my pants. So anywho, I started teaching human diversity, and so I told them people, I'm not here to change your mind. In fact, what'll happen is if I try to change your mind, all it's going to do is cause your heels to dig in, and you're going to do whatever the hell it is you want to do anyway. In fact, it'll probably just make it worse.
11.3 volts.
And then I'd play Eddie Murphy's Mr. White. If you have the occasion to look that up on YouTube, it's hilarious. He maintained that when white people were alone, they would give things to each other, and the skits were amazing. It was amazing because of the absurdity. Eddie is and was a genius. And then I would show back then, there's a great movie called Crash. Holy crap.
Volts.
I've seen it because I taught 30 times. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it shows how wonderfully, horribly flawed we are as human beings. And I used to hate Brendan Fraser. Hated him because he's a goof and an idiot. He did excellent in the movie. And Sandra Bullock and Mr. Cheatham. God, it was brilliant. And then later on I did, who was the one? I don't know if I can remember the name of it, but it was a Navy diver. And excellent black Navy diver. And then later on I would do, which really made me happy because it ain't all about black and white. I ended up doing, Clint Eastwood did a really neat film called Gran Torino, which pitted white and Asians against each other. And it just showed you the unbelievable beauty that can be real life. At least I exercise that. In my real life, what's happening right now is blacks are pissed off at whites, and and here in Florida we have a large population, and some of them aren't even polite anymore.
11.1 volts.
But I walk the talk, and I'm polite no matter what. No matter what. I've already been through all this. The town I grew up in had a whistle that went off at 6 p.m. that told two things at the citrus plant. One, it's quitting time. Two, Blacks shall be on their side of the railroad tracks and not on ours.
11.1 volts.
And that no longer is a thing. It takes a while to get over racism. And it's going to take a little while to get over it more. Sure is. And to be honest with you, it'll never go away. As long as people, human beings, can subjugate each other, they will. No ifs, ands, or buts. But we can reduce it.
11.1 volts.
And that's what me and my wife and my son do on a daily basis, fractionally. Even when people are just beside themselves angry, we don't submit to making it worse. So,
10.8 volts.
for those of you that are foolish enough to listen to my piffle balderdash, poppycock, and nonsense and gibberish, now you have an idea where I'm coming from. No good comes from discussing sex, religion, and politics. And I don't suffer the narcissistic behavior
10.5 volts.
that suggests that I'm going to be the self-righteous and stop all the evil doing in the world or calling it out. Ooh. Landing.
Throttle